Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Sri Tips here, and these are my temporary waste containers. Whenever I rinse the gold powder that I refine, I pour the rinses off into these two containers, and here you can see there's a significant amount of gold in these things. And what I'm going to do today is try to recover the gold from these two temporary waste containers. This one has had all of the liquid drained out of it, and so now we're ready to go ahead and try to dissolve this gold that's in this bottle. I'm going to do that by adding some hydrochloric acid right straight into the bottle. Now what I'll do is I'll set this bottle up out of the way. It's got the gold in it with a little hydrochloric acid, and this bottle here has got some solution in it that I need to remove. And I've got a vacuum bottle set up down here with a vacuum line, and we'll just reach in here and draw this liquid up out of this container. I've got all the liquid out of this bottle now, and I've drawn it up into a waste container down here, and this liquid in this bottle will go into my stock pot. Let's pull this down so we can keep a close eye on it as we react the gold with some aqua regia. This is hydrochloric acid. I'm going to add some hydrochloric acid to this container now. That gold right there, that is quite a bit of gold. I wouldn't be surprised if we've got at least an ounce out of this recovery operation. Let me go ahead and add a little bit of sulfuric acid to both of these containers. And what this will do is this will precipitate out any lead that may be present. Let me give these a swirl to kind of break up the gold in there. Oh yeah, that's got a ton of gold in it right there, that big one. Now what we'll do is I'll start adding small doses of nitric acid to form aqua regia in each of these containers and dissolve out the gold out of my waste containers. The gold in both those containers is in a very finely divided state, so I didn't add any heat to the reaction. I'm just using cold aqua regia to put all the gold in solution. We've got all the gold dissolved in cold aqua regia. So now what we're going to do is empty these containers that contain our gold-bearing solution into our beaker. I'm going to add some heat now. And what we'll do is evaporate this solution down to a syrup so we can drive off all the excess nitric acid. In my experience, this is the best way by far to rid a gold solution of excess nitric acid. I've got the solution evaporated down. I'll put a lid on here, and we're starting to see some solids forming in there. And let's add a shot of hydrochloric acid. Notice the atmosphere in there when I put the lid on. It's got some orange fumes. That's an indication that we still have a little bit of excess nitric coming out of our solution. I'm going to add a squirt of hydrochloric acid. Rehydrate the solution with some hydrochloric acid. Here we go. You see all the fumes evolving out of there? That's the excess nitric acid being driven off. Here you can see there's still orange fumes evolving from the gold solution. So I just keep adding shots of hydrochloric acid and then evaporating it down and repeating this over and over until all the fumes clear up inside that beaker. And when I get a clear beaker, no more fumes, that's a good indication that all of the excess nitric acid that was in there has been driven off. I don't see any more red fumes evolving from this solution, and I'd say it's a safe bet to conclude that we've got all the excess nitric driven off out of here. So we're going to pull it down off of this heat and let it cool off. I've allowed it to cool down a little bit. Now we're going to cool it further by adding a few pieces of ice. Cooling the solution down with some ice aids during the filtering. It dilutes the solution, and if there's any silver chloride in there, it will cause that to precipitate out so we can filter it out. Let's get in here and get a status test just to verify that we have gold in solution. I know we do, but it doesn't hurt to do a stannous chloride test. we go. Stump out my bonide is sodium metabisulfite. We're going to use spoons of this to precipitate out our pure gold. Here we go. Boom. Let's put in another spoon. Half one. The half one. Now we're going to set this up on some heat and give it a boil. See if we can get the gold to settle out quickly by boiling it. Let's go ahead and get another stannous test before we boil the gold, just to make sure that we've got all of the gold precipitated out of that solution. And there you can see, negative stannous test. All the gold has precipitated. Well, that gold settled out nicely for us. Just a few minutes. Set it down over here and let it cool off. What we're going to do now is pour off this waste solution into my temporary waste container. And then once we get this poured off, I've got some hot distilled water. I will rinse it over and over with hot distilled water to get the chemicals off. I'm adding some hydrochloric acid to the gold. Now what we'll do is set this up on the heat and boil it in some hydrochloric acid. This always seems to help clean the gold up for us. I've got some more hot water. We're going to pour off the hydrochloric acid boil to our waste container and then rinse it over and over with hot distilled water. Here's our little pure gold bar that we got from the waste containers. I call it free gold because after all it was waste. So I was expecting about an ounce. Let's see what we got here. 16.1 grams. That's a little over half an ounce. But that's just fine. We'll take it. Free gold. All right, this will conclude the video. I'd like to thank everyone for watching.